Oh my goodness. Hello, Julie.
Hey,
How are you doing?
talking to you.
Oh my God. Likewise, I'm so excited I get to sit down with the infamous Mama J here. I mean, I'm excited to talk about everything because talk about just like talk about a journey for you, Julie, from like yeah, under the
Under the radar, like not getting like I was like in the beginning, like how many episodes? Like I'm hardly in it. I was like, I promise you I played this game. I promise I played this game. But and then I'm getting like, but I'm like, I know what happens. So like surely not gonna like not give me an edit. It's what process. It's all a lot.
well, let's start to process the process, as it were. I mean,
Yep.
I want to start with how things ended. I mean, when
Okay.
you leave, you hug D, you say, "Go win this thing." Obviously, it was a big back and forth final tribal council. Like, was there ever any doubt in your mind that you wouldn't vote for D to win? Were there any arguments against it,
Wait a minute, that I wouldn't. Oh, like, did I ever think about writing Dee's name down?
or that you wouldn't vote for her to win over Austin or Jake?
Oh, that's a good question. Now, Dee was my girl.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but for the final tribal, I'll be honest, I still thought about voting for Austin because I knew what an amazing game he had played. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was with him from the beginning. Like him, he played such a under the radar, tried to pretend like he was smart. He's not smart, and he's probably one of the smartest people. Like Drew is obvious smart, and which I appreciate, and it's valid. And then Austin, which is why the two of them get along so well. I think they're
Mm.
both like same IQ. Um, so I knew Austin's moves. But I also knew D. It was, I mean, I was gonna vote for D because she's my girl, but I tell you what, I don't think you can get a closer finish than the two of
Yeah.
them. I
I mean,
love Jake endearing, but and I feel like ever since he tried to turn on me with the whole Caleb vote, he had been like trying to make his way back. And what a great game he played. I just thought it was an amazing cast.
yeah.
I hate that Jake didn't get any votes because I feel like he was worthy of them. Like it was just, but what do you do when you've got like it was just an amazing tribal. Like I'm really proud of our season.
At the vote where you were eliminated, you said, like, I'm not going to be surprised if it was me. I've been catching bullets this entire time. I'm only so bulletproof. I would imagine you didn't expect the bullets to go in that way, though. I mean, 2 to 1 to 1 to 1.
When I went to party, I was like, they were like, what were the votes? I'm like, no, I still can't figure it out. Like I thought it was Austin and Jake. So the fact that Jake voted for D and Katura voted for me, like because I pleaded with Katura and D. I was like, let's just write Jake. And they're like, he's got an idol. I'm like, I don't care. I will take that risk. I'm like, I'm the one going home. Let's just write his name down and let's just do this. And so I stuck with that. And the fact that it was so great when Jake, one vote for Katura. And Jake's like, yes, one vote for Jake. Oh shit. I was like, that's so fabulous. So if they had gone with that, that would have been a different game. It's how the game is. There's too much luck involved. It could go either way.
Well, you talk in that round about how, you know, despite all the relationships I made, I want to show my loyalty to at least like one devoted person.
Right.
And that was
Right.
D. I'm super curious though, like, had you survived that vote, did you intend to go to the end with her? Because we had also been told how big of a threat she was. Was that
Right.
the one loyal relationship that you were intending to honor to the end of the game?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I I was under this, I guess the whole game. I didn't care who I went to the end with. I
Mm.
thought I was going to win. I was like, you put me in final three, I'm going to bring home the million. Even though DNI's game was so close, I feel like we could distinguish it. And I would have respected the jury had they gone with D and voted her over me. I feel like that would have been an amazing showdown, just like between D and Austin was an amazing showdown. I guess I really feel blessed with my Reba 4 alliance. That's why I was like, let's go to the end and see who the jury picks among us. Because I feel like the four of us played such an amazing game and then individually such an amazing game. But I think the whole cast did. I mean, Emily was amazing and a gamer, and that's why I picked her. I mean, she had to go. Um, she was so good, so good, and I feel like she was the reason that she turned Drew and Austin again. You know, like I wanted to try and bring Emily in as well because I knew Drew and Austin had, but they got to her before me, so she was going to be loyal to them. And I was like, oh, you're trying to take my spot. You got to go anyway.
Yeah, well, I want to talk partially about that because Drew revealed to me in my interview with him last week. He's like, the edit doesn't show the way Mama J was playing. She was making all these final three alliances, and that was partially the reason why he
Right.
wanted to gun for you. I mean, talk to me a bit about that, about all that strategizing you were doing, and were you aware that it was drawing as many eyes to you?
No, I just played. I mean, like, even like my edit, I was such an under the radar game, which I was so happy with because I knew the relationships that I was making. But what's funny, like, and I know that Drew says that we all agreed we'd go against each other at Final Six. I remember them saying that, but not really agreeing to that. Like, I was Final Four Reba to the end. Like,
Hmm.
in my heart, I was there. But I also remember, like, they showed us on the beach, one of our nighttime visits, which we did that nightly. Like, the four of us would meet at night, and gather our intel. And I remember going, Drew, I mean this. And for some reason, I felt then he didn't believe me. So I was worried about him turn on me. And now I'm like, oh my God, you were really worried I was going to turn on you. Cause I think he really, and I was making alliances, but he was too. Like,
Hmm.
bonding over there with Emily. And like, that was what I thought the four of us were doing, is making these external alliances, but it was really always going to be the Reba Four. But I think he must have really thought that I meant the other ones, which I always came back and told them what I was doing. I just thought I was playing the game. I'm like, this is what you do. And I did. I think what tipped him, because I was like, oh my gosh, Drew's going to turn on me. So I go to Drew and I'm like, let's do final two. I'm like, Dee's my girl and I'm not going to vote her out, but doesn't mean I can't put her to fire. Like, that's not voting her out. That's not writing her name. So let's go final four, and then the two of us can do something. And he was like, yeah, sure, Julie, sure. And instead, he was like, Julie's playing too hard, and that made him cut me because it
Well,
showed my feelings. I was like, but anyway.
well, I think one reason that also you indicated that you were playing the game is, hey, you're handed this gift from Austin, and you decide,
I got criticized by family and friends when Dee and I find the hammer and I bring it to Austin.
mm,
You froze on me, so I was gonna, yeah. And
no,
people
yeah.
are like, whoa, you, Julie, like, you're playing Survivor. Why are you helping him? You should have kept that. And I'm like, because my game is to play a loyal relationship game, and let's see how it works for me. So that's it. So honestly, the Reba Four, we would meet every night. We'd wake up. I'd always be awake. So when Sifu started snoring, I would know that everybody was asleep. So we'd wake up and we'd meet at night. And so Austin was like, this is our idol. Y'all were part of it. If Dee had needed it, she could have had it. If Drew needed it, he could have had it. So when they split us up in those three groups, we're like, I'm with Bruce and Kendra. I might be going home. He's like, yeah, it's yours. And I still remember, I don't see him put it in the bag, right? Like, I see it now from camera, but all I know is that I'm sitting there and Drew hands me the bag, my bag, and he nods to me. And I look over at Austin and Austin nods to me. So I'm like, so Drew was a part of that, giving me that idol. And he's like, oh, Austin messed up. Austin messed up. I'm like, which is why I didn't know that that idol was real, because now when Dee's like, you're going to play the idol, and they don't show me just stress, I'm like, this idol can't be real. Like, they're going to send me home with a real idol in my pocket. And then lack of food, lack of sleep. I'm like, when did Drew turn? When did Drew turn? Like, I knew he was going to turn on me. Y'all saw the emotional moment between the two of us when he's like, it's going to get hairy at the end. And I was like, blessings come after me. Like, I knew he was saying goodbye. I was like, I get you. So I knew it. I didn't know it in that moment. It was like hours later that I went, oh, Drew was telling me he's going to come for me. That's what that message was. And, but I can't remember, like, it gets all blurry when you're out there. So I'm like, when did Drew turn? When did Drew turn? Did he think about it before and was able to switch that, like, not give me a real idol? Like, did he give me a fake one? And I couldn't make it make sense in my head because I could not believe they were really going to vote me out with an idol in my pocket, which makes sense. If you're going to try and get me out, you got to blindside me. It's all a good move on their part,
Yeah.
or attempted move. But so that's what I don't know. And I do, when I hand the idol to Jeff, I'm like, I have a better, something like, I think there's a better than 16% chance this is real idol, because I didn't know whether to play my shot in the dark, and I was all geeking out over the numbers and percentages. And I'm glad they didn't show that, because it doesn't matter. But when you're in the game, you don't care about an audience. You're just like, I need to let the jury know that I'm not positive in case it's not real, that I hadn't. Anyway, there was a lot to that idol. So and if they had asked for it back directly, I would have known they were coming for me. So it was all very subtle, as best as they could play it subtle, so subtle that I missed it, because I'm like, D, because Dee's instincts were off the charts. Like, I think she knew Drew was turning before he did. And she'd be like, Drew's got to go. And I'm like, no, if he asks for the idol back. And she was like, Julie, I'm telling you. And then it happened as it happened. But yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah, well, something that you were also sort of negotiating with is, while you were making these moves and making these relationships, the other side of that knife was that you were dealing with a lot of emotional negotiation. You talk about looking over and seeing Kendra and Kelly on the jury, and that double-edged sword of being Mama J is like, people love their mother, but nobody wants to get voted out by their mother. So despite you wanting to play as hard as you could, how tough was it for you to try to deal with these relationships and know that, okay, these people are getting close to me, which is great for a jury vote, but I also have to send them to the jury?
It's I feel like in the very beginning of the season, I remember you saying, oh, she's gonna have to juggle that. And I was like, God, he has no idea how right he is. So I didn't, when I leaned it, like when I was like, when we first met and Jay Maya was like, you can call me Jay. And I was like, oh, my sister calls me Jay. And Sifu was like, yeah, and you're a mom. I was like, yeah, you can just call me Mama Jay. And the minute it came out of my mouth, I was like, what have I done? What have I done? And then, and Sifu only called me Mama, not even Mama J. He was just like, Mama, let's go, Mama. And so I think the only person that did not call me Mama J was Drew. It was always just Julie. And he was like my son's age. So I loved that part. He kept it as Julie and I loved it. But that, I was like, what have I done? I don't want to be that. I want to be equal with them. Don't put me in this mama role. But then once it was out, I went, okay, own it. Own it. Go, like, own it 100%. Don't go halfway. So I owned it 100% and it was working for me. Before Kelly went home, she was like, Mama, my gut is telling me, I'm seeing people talking and my gut is telling me I should play, shot in the dark. I'm not safe. And I went, you are fine. You trust me. You are so fine. No, we were just talking about how much we want Jake to go home. Are you kidding me? And she was like, okay. And I did the same thing to Kendra, but it was sitting in jury, seeing Kelly that I'd just done, like the previous tribal, and then Kendra doing it again. That double dose about did me in. I was like, oh, it's not just about getting to the end. It's about getting to the end and then voting for you. But it all just happens because all you're thinking is this. And it's that moment that I went, like, you watch the show so many times and they talk about jury management and they talk about jury management. And I'm like, that is such a crude term for make people want to give you $1 million that you've just betrayed. Like, it's like an emotional. I just, at that point, and I had long talks in my confessionals about, I don't know if I could, this is harder than I expected. Like, so, because I was shocked at how good I could lie. Because honestly, I didn't ever feel like I was lying. When I was talking, I believed it. I was like, Kelly, it's you and me. Yes, we will take out. And I believed it. And it wasn't until I was like, oh, Kelly, I need your spot with Bruce. I can't, you've got to go because you've got my spot and I need you to go. And I don't trust that you won't turn on me and stick with Bruce. I mean, she was saying she didn't, but I didn't trust her. So that's why I was like, Kelly has to go. And Dee didn't want Kelly to go. I mean, I felt like it was because she was her shield for the physical aspect. And that was a moment when it was the four of us, and Dee was like, no, can't be Kelly, she's my shield. And I said, Dee, we're your shield. And Dee went, okay, it can be Kelly. Because like the four of us really, and so when she did Kelly, that's why she was like, well, now we get to do Kendra next. So we all, the four of us, kind of were like, okay, yep, you did Kelly for us, we'll do Kendra for you. But it was felt like a four, and I was like, the whole time we're each playing the game, because we're like, nope, that's still good for my game, still good for my game, still good for the four and mine. And I know that all four of us were doing that with each. Okay, yep, I'll still stick with this Reba four because it's also good for my.